I stopped paying my sister and her husband's bills because she lied to my parents about how much I hated them now. They going crazy because they have no money. It's funny how people can burn bridges while living in the house you bill for them for 2 years. I financed my sister's life, her husband's endless bad luck, and their ridiculous excuses I paid. Her rent, bought her groceries, even got her a car. I told myself it was temporary. They just needed a leg up, but somehow temporary turned into an endless cycle off. Sob stories, empty promises, and bills with my name on them. It all started when Mia, my sister, married Alex. They were young, broke, and hopelessly optimistic. I'll admit, I felt a little sorry for them. At first, they just moved into this crappy little apartment, and Alex had lost his job right after the wedding. Maya called me practically in tears and asked if I could pay their first month's rent. I didn't think twice. She was my sister, and I had the money. 1 month turned into 2, and then 6 by the time they reached their first anniversary. I was paying not only their rent, but their groceries, utilities, and gas. I even bought them a used car, because Mia told me she was tired of walking to the store in the cold, and you know what? I didn't mind at first. I told myself, this is what family does. My career was going well, and I figured they'd bounce back eventually, but it never happened. Alex always had a new excuse for why he couldn't keep a job. He was fired because his boss didn't like him. He twisted his ankle and couldn't work. Construction. He was too depressed to go on job interviews. Meanwhile, Mia started acting like this was all normal, like I was some kind of ATM that never ran out of cash every month. There was a new emergency they needed money to fix. The car, Alex's doctor's bill, a payment for their internet so Alex could apply for jobs online. And then there were the plans. Oh, the plans. They'd sit me down and lay out these elaborate schemes for how they were going to turn things around. We're going to start a small business. Mia would say, we just need a little more help with the startup costs, or Alex wants to take a class to get certified for at work. Can you pay for the tuition? They never followed through on any of that by the second year. I was starting to feel like a fool, but every time I thought about cutting them off, Mia would call me sounding desperate. You don't know how much we appreciate you. She'd say we'd be homeless without you, and I'd give him because, well, I didn't want to be the reason my sister was on the street. It wasn't until my parents stopped talking to me that things really started to unravel. That's when I realized this wasn't just about money. Anymore, it was something much worse, something I couldn't ignore at first. I thought my parents were just busy. It wasn't like them to ignore my calls, but everyone has their moments, right? Except weeks passed, then 3, and they still didn't answer. No return calls, no texts, nothing. I'd send a message asking if they were okay, and I'd get silence in return. It was strange because Mia insisted that everything was fine. They've just been busy with church stuff, she said when I asked. Mom's been helping with fundraisers, and Dad's been busy fixing up the house. It sounded plausible, so I let it go. But as the weeks turned into months, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I even asked a family friend if he'd seen my parents recently, and he told me that my mom seemed distracted and a little stressed. Still, I didn't push. Life was busy for me too, and taking care of Mia and Alex's constant financial needs had become a second job. Every time I thought I was free of their problems, something else would pop up. In February, Mia told me that the landlord had raised their rent. If we don't pay the extra $200 this month, we'll be evicted, she said then. In March, Alex apparently needed new tires for the car I had bought for them. The tread is completely gone, she explained. We're afraid to even drive it in April. They needed help paying for groceries because Alex had some kind of stomach bug and couldn't work his side job at a food delivery service. The thing that always bothered me was how Mia downplayed it. This is the last time. I promise, she'd say, we're so close to being stable. I should have known better, but the real mom shell dropped in. May, when I decided to visit my parents after months of radio silence, I wanted to make sure they were okay. I called Maya before. I went just to let her know they'll be happy to see you. She said, maybe bring some flowers. For Mom, I remember walking into their house and immediately feeling like I'd walked into someone else's house. It wasn't as warm and welcoming as it usually was. My mom barely looked at me when she opened the door, and my dad didn't get up from his recliner. Hey, I said, smiling, it's good to see you, really? My mom said, crossing her arms. The conversation quickly got out of hand. My dad cut me off every time I tried to speak, and my mom accused me of being ungrateful, selfish, and this one was stunning. Hateful. You have no respect for this family, she would say. After all we've done for you, you turn around and act like we're stranger. What are you talking about? I asked. That's when my dad dropped the hammer. Don't play dumb, we know how much you hate us. Mia told us everything. Hate them. I was stunned. Mia had told them that I hated them. My head was spinning. What the hell was she talking about for a moment? I just stood there speechless. My mother's words echoed in my head. We know how much you hate us. It didn't make any sense. What reason would Mia have to say something like that? I tried to defend myself, but they weren't having it. My dad cut me off and said that Mia had told them that I'd been bad-mouthing them 4 months. According to her, I'd said they were too old-fashioned, too controlling, and not worth my time. She even told them. I bragged about how, unlike them, I didn't need their help. She told us everything. My father said how you think we're a burden, how you resent us for the way we raised. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Mia had painted me as an ungrateful monster when I was the one keeping her afloat. Why would I say something like that? I asked, why would I turn you against me for no reason? My mother just shook her head. You've been distant for months, she said. You stopped calling and now we know why you don't care about us. That's when it clicked. The timing, her cold behavior, the way Mia had taken her silence so casually, like it didn't matter she had done this. I left their house. Feeling sick to my stomach, I didn't even try to argue anymore. It was clear they wouldn't believe me as I sat in my car. I replayed every conversation I'd had with Mia over the past few months, and it all started to fall into place every time I'd sent her money. She talked about how my parents helped her. 2, they paid for my doctor's visit. She said once they were so supportive at the time, I didn't think much of it. Why wouldn't they help her? But now it made sense. She was double dipping. She didn't want me and my parents to talk because she knew I would find out the next day. I could let her. Mia. I said we need to talk face to face. She showed up at my house with Alex in tow. He sat on the couch scrolling through his phone while Mia gave me her best innocent smile. What's going on? She asked. I went to see Mom and Dad yesterday. I said they told me some pretty interesting stuff. Her smile faltered. What do you mean? I mean they think I hate them, that I talk behind their backs, and they got that idea from you. Her eyes widened. What? No, I would never. Shut up, Mia. I snapped. You lied to them. You made me look like the bad guy so they'd stop helping me and only help you. You wanted to make sure you had all their attention and their money. She froze, her face turning red. Alex, still glued to his phone, muttered, Babe, what's she talking about? Oh, don't pretend you don't know, I said, turning to him. This was your plan all along, wasn't it? Sit around, make excuses, and milk me and Mom and Dad for as much as you can. Alex finally looked up. Hey, that's not fair. Dash, isn't it? I cut him off. You haven't worked in 2 years, Alex, 2 years. You've been perfectly happy letting Miyali and manipulate everyone around her. So you don't have to lift a finger. Maya tried to argue, but I wasn't listening. I was done. I'm cutting you both off, I said. No more money, no more rent, no more groceries. You're on your own. What you can't do. That Mia cried. Watch me. I said the Panicon. Their faces was almost satisfying. Almost after I told Mia and Alex that I was going to cut them off, they didn't take it well. Mia started crying and swore that she didn't mean for things to get so out of hand, while Alex paced the room, muttering about how unfair I was. Being I didn't care for the first time. In 2 years, I felt like I was finally regaining control of my life, but then something happened that I didn't see. Coming 2 days later, I received a phone call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer it, but something told me, "Toe, is this?" "D," asked the voice on the other end. "Yeah." "Who's this?" "This is Ryan. I'm Alex's brother." "Alex's brother? I didn't even know he had a brother." "Okay. What's this about? I heard that you've been helping Mia and Alex out financially for a while." He said, "I thought you should know." That was when Ryan dropped the bombshell. Apparently Alex had been lying to everyone, not just to me, but to Mia as well. He wasn't just unemployed, he'd actually gambled away the money I'd sent them, not all of it, but enough to keep them struggling month after month. He's been in trouble 4 years. Ryan said this isn't the first time he's pulled something like this. He gets people to feel sorry for him, takes their money, and then blows it at the casino or on sports. I tried to warn Mia, but she won't listen. I was stunned. "You're telling me Mia doesn't know about this?" "She might suspect," Ryan said, "but Alex is good at covering his tracks. He always has a sob story ready." "I thought you should know, since it sounds like you're done helping them. Maybe this will give you some closure." I hung up and sat there for a while, trying to process what I just heard. Alex had gambled away the money I gave them. That explained a lot: the constant emergencies, the endless need for cash, the fact that no matter how much I sent, it was never enough. But what really got me was MIA had Shirley been in the dark all this time, or was she just pretending not to know, so she wouldn't have to face the truth about the man she'd married, I decided. In needed answers the next day I showed up, unannounced at her apartment. Mia looked surprised to see me, and Alex wouldn't even meet my eyes. "We need to talk," I said, walking in without waiting for an invitation. "What's going on?" Mia asked nervously. "I got a call from Alex's brother," I said. "Do you want to explain why he thinks Alex gambled away the money I sent you?" Mia's face went pale. She turned to Alex, who suddenly looked like he wanted to disappear into the couch. "That's not true," Alex said quickly. "Ryan is just bitter. He's always had it in for me. Don't lie to me." I said, my voice sharp. "I want the truth right now." Mia looked between us, her eyes wide. "Alex, what is he talking about? You've been playing." I was trying to make more money. "For us," Alex stammered. "I thought I could win big and pay it all back, but it didn't work out." Mia looked as if she'd been slapped. "You gambled while we were begging Derek for money while I was lying to Mom and Dad." She broke down, and for the first time, I saw her realize how deep into the hole Alex had dug her, but I didn't stick around to see how their argument played out. "I'm done," I said, heading for the door. "You can work this out on your own." As I left, I heard Mia yelling at Alex, her voice full of anger and betrayal. For once, I didn't feel guilty after that confrontation. I thought I was finally free of her mess, but of course it wasn't that simple. A week later, Mia showed up at my door. She looked exhausted. Her hair was a mess, and there were dark circles under her eyes. I wasn't thrilled to see her, but I let her and Alex moved out, she said, collapsing on my couch. "We had a huge fight after you left, and he admitted everything. He's been gambling for years." "I didn't know, Derek. I swear I didn't know." I didn't say anything at first. I wanted to believe her, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she must have known something. "What do you want me to do about it?" I finally asked. "Nothing," she said quickly. "I'm not there to ask for money. I don't know what to do. I feel so stupid. I've been lying to everyone, covering for him, and he's been lying to me all along." I could tell she was sincere. Still, I wasn't going to let her off the hook entirely. "You brought a lot of this on yourself, Mia." I said. "You lied to Mom and Dad about me. You let Alex manipulate you, and you dragged me into it." "I know," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry, Derek. I thought I was doing what I had to do to keep us afloat, but I see now that I was just enabling him, and I hurt you in the process. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me, but I had to say it." Her apology took me by surprise. Mia wasn't the type to admit when she was wrong, let alone apologize. "What about Mom and Dad?" I asked. "They still think I'm the bad guy. In all this, I'll fix it." She said. "I'll tell them the truth, everything thing." I didn't know if I could trust her to go through with it, but I decided to give her the chance. "You'd better," I said, "because I'm not doing this anymore. Mia, no more bailouts. No more lies. You're on your own from now on." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "Understand, thank you, Derek, for everything." I thought that was the end of it. But a few days later, I got a call from my parents. "Derek, we need to talk." My mother said. Her tone was different, calm, but serious. When I got to their house, they sat me down and apologized. Mia had told them everything, the lies, the manipulation, Alex's gambling. They admitted they'd been wrong to believe her without giving me a chance to explain. We should have known better. My father said, "You've always been there for this family, and we let her poison the..." Well, it was a relief to hear them say that. But what they told me next left me speechless. "Mia is moving back in with us. My mother said she's getting a divorce from Alex, and she's going to get her life back together. We're going to help her." I didn't know how to feel. On the one hand, I was happy that she was finally leaving Alex. On the other hand, I wasn't sure moving back in with my parents was the right move for her or for them. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" I asked. "She's our daughter." My father said we can't turn our backs on her. I didn't argue. It wasn't my place to tell them how to handle Mia, and frankly, I was just glad to be out of it. As for Alex, I heard through the grapevine that things were going downhill fast for him without me or Mia to lean on. He ended up crashing with a friend. It didn't last long. Apparently, he borrowed money from them and never paid it back. The last I heard, he was living out of his car. I wish I could say I felt sorry for him, but I didn't. He made his bed, and now he had Toli in it. In the end, I learned an important lesson: you can't save people who don't want to be saved. I had spent 2 years pouring money into a situation that was never going to get better because Mia and Alex didn't want it to get better. They wanted the easy life, and they didn't care who they hurt to get it. Now I focus on myself. I'm closer to my parents again, and Mia and I are talking, although I'm still careful with her. I don't think I'll ever fully trust her again, but at least she's trying to make amends. As for Alex, well, I haven't heard from him since that day in her apartment, and frankly, I hope I never will. I thought I had the whole picture, but life has a way of throwing curveballs. When you least expect them, about a month after everything went down, I got a call from an old friend of Alex's. It was a name I hadn't heard in years. Mark and I weren't close, but we used to run in the same circles, and he had been at Mia and Alex's wedding. I had no idea why he called me now. "Hey, Derek," he said. "This might be a little out of the blue, but think you should know something about Alex and Mia?" I groaned inwardly. I was over everything that had to do with them. "What about them?" "Well, I just found out that Alex has been telling people that you are part of the problem," Mark said. "He's been running his mouth saying you send money because you feel guilty about how you treated Mia when you were younger." I almost laughed. What the hell is he talking about? Apparently, he's telling people that you bullied Mia when she was a kid, made her life miserable, and now you're paying for it. He's even told some people that you controlled her finances to keep her dependent on you. Didn't even know how to respond. Alex had clearly gone off the deep end, spinning stories to make himself look like the victim, but that wasn't the part that really got to me. Mark hesitated before adding, "And Mia, she's not exactly correcting him." "What do you mean?" I asked, my stomach sinking. "She doesn't say it all, right? But she lets people think. She does when people bring it up. She just says things like it's complicated, or we've had our problems, but he's family." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut after everything I'd done for her, after giving her a car, paying her rent, and standing by her through years of lease. She was still letting Alex drag my name through the mud. I called Mia that night. Furious, what the hell is going on? I demanded. She acted confused at first, but when I told her what Mark had said, she became defensive. "I never said those things, Derek. You know how Alex is. He's just trying to make himself look better." "Yeah, but you're not stopping him, are you? You're letting people think I was some horrible brother, just trying to buy forgiveness." There was a long pause before she said, "I didn't want to cause any more drama. Okay, I thought it would all blow over. That's not good enough, Mia." I said, "You're not going to stand by and let Alex beat me up. Not after all I've done for you. I'll talk to him," she said quietly. But the damage had already been done. A week later, I got a phone call from my parents. They were angry at me. "Why are people saying you bullied Mia? When you were kids," my mother demanded. "Why didn't we know about this?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Somehow, Alex's lies had found their way back to me parents, and Mia's silence had allowed them to take root. "That's not true," I said, firmly. "You know it's not true. Then why would Alex say it? Why would Mia let him?" "I don't know, but you have to ask her," I said. "She's the one who's letting it happen." It was exhausting trying to defend myself against something so ridiculous, but it made one thing crystal clear: Mia hadn't changed. She'd apologized, sure, she'd said she wanted to make things right, but when push came to shove, she was still looking out for herself first, even if it meant throwing me under the bus. In the end, I decided to cut Mia off completely. I told my parents they could believe whatever they wanted, but I wasn't going to defend myself anymore. If they wanted to believe Alex's lies, that was up to them. It wasn't their solution I was hoping for. I wanted things to go back to the way they were, but sometimes life doesn't work that way. Some relationships are too broken to be fixed. The unfair part: Mia got what she wanted. She's living with my parents now, getting their support while I'm on the outside looking in. And Alex, last I heard, he's still bouncing from couch to couch, telling anyone who will listen how unfair life has been to him as for me. I've moved on. I don't need their approval anymore. I've made a good life for myself, and that's enough. It's not the happy ending I wanted, but it's the own I have, and I can live with it.